All right. Good evening. Can I please have your full names?
مساء الخير، ممكن تعطينا اسمك الكامل؟
حسن حسين مهدي المرادي.
حسن حسين مهدي المرادي.
All right. Good evening, sir. My name is Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance today.
مساء الخير سيد حسن، أنا القاضي لأعطيك هذه الجلسة الأولى من في قضيتك.
مساء النور.
Good evening.
All right, sir. Just to remind you, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
أنت طبعا من حقك أنت اليوم أنك تكون صامت ولا تقول أي شيء، لأنه أي شيء رح تقوله يمكن يستعمل ضدك.
So you're here tonight because you have.
عندك طبعا أنت مخالفتين اللي هم شغب منزلي وشغب منزلي بعنف.
What I'm going to do is release you on promise that you appear at a court hearing on April 1st, 2025. Go ahead, sir.
أنا سوف أخليك أخلي سبيلك من السجن اليوم على شرط أنك أنت تظهر في المحكمة في يوم I'm sorry, Judge. Was April 25th? What time?
Sorry, no, it's April 1st, 2025.
Oh, April 1st.
1:30 p.m.
And that's in the place, please.
The Tucson City Court, sir.
Tucson City Court. أنا رح أخلي سبيلك اليوم، ولكن لازم توعدنا أنك أنت سوف تظهر إلى المحكمة اللي هي محكمة المدينة City Court، محكمة المدينة يوم في شهر 4 يوم 1 الساعة 1:30 بعد الظهر.
I promise. بس
أوكي.
ممكن ورقة وقلم عم بسجلها.
I just need a pen and a paper so I can write the date and the time down.
The jail will provide you with paperwork, sir.
طبعا السجن الموجود فيه انت حاليا رح يعطوك الاوراق بكل المواعيد الموجوده اللي يعطيك اياها القاضي.
Now, as part of your release, you are hereby ordered not to drive without a license, possess or consume alcohol.
Thank you. من الشرط من شروط اخلاء السبيل اليوم من السجن انك انت لا تقود السياره، ممنوع تقود السياره من دون رخصه قياده، ممنوع تاخذ تشرب اي كحول.
You're not to possess any firearms or weapons.
ممنوع تحمل اي اسلحه ناريه.
Okay.
You're not to commit any act of domestic violence.
ممنوع منعا باتا انك تعمل اي شغب او عنف على اشخاص اخرين.
You're not to have contact with the alleged victim in this case, Harar Hussein.
ممنوع انك انت تتكلم او تتكلم مع هذا الشخص اللي هو الضحية سيد الحسين.
You're not to go to the victim's place of work or residence.
ممنوع تروح الى منزلهم او الى الشغل حقهم.
Now, do you and the victim reside together, sir?
هل انت والضحية ساكنين مع بعض؟
ممكن تعيد؟
هل انت والشخص الثاني اللي تعديت عليه ساكنين مع بعض من نفس المكان؟
زوجتي.
She's my wife.
Okay. Sir, again, you're not to return to where the victim's residence or place of work is. However, you may return to the home if you share it with her, with police escort to retrieve any personal belongings.
ممنوع انك تذهب انت الى البيت اللي ساكن فيه انت وياها او الى مكان الشغل، ولكن من الممكن انك انت تروح مع الشرطة اذا انت بدك تاخذ اي اغراض من البيت.
ممكن، نعم، اريد اخذ الاغراض.
Yes, I want to retrieve some stuff from the home.
You may do so, sir, but you will have to contact law enforcement first and arrange for them to escort you to the home to pick up those belongings. Do not go back to the home without law enforcement present.
من الممكن انك تذهب الى المكان السكن، ولكن لازم تتصل في الشرطة قبل لحتى يروحوا معك الى البيت لحتى تاخذ الأغراض اللي انت بحاجة إليها.
بس ممكن هو البيت انا اللي دافع فلوسه وانا اللي عايش فيه، ما عندي غير مكان اعيش فيه.
The house I pay the rent, and that's where I live, and I do not have any other money to go anywhere else.
So you're going to have to arrange for an alternative place to live until your arraignment with Judge Millian in the city court on the 1st of April.
لازم طبعا تلاقي مكان مختلف لحتى تسكن فيه. excuse me. لازم تلاقي مكان لحتى تسكن فيه لغاية الوقت اللي انت رح يصير عندك الجلسة في المحكمة، وبتعرف شو رح يصير من بعد ذلك.
Otherwise, please make sure to show up at your hearing on April 1st at 1:30. Otherwise, a warrant may issue for your arrest.
انت لازم تتأكد انك انت تروح الى المحكمة بالتاريخ اللي اعطاك اياه القاضي، والا بيصدروا امر بتوقيفك.
اوكي.
Your excuse, sir. Good luck.
يلا حظا سعيدا. Can the interpreter be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, the interpreter is excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. And the Spanish interpreter is excused as well.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good night.
Good night. Good evening. May I please have your full name?
Good evening, Your Honor. It's Robert Brian Hempel, Jr.
For example, you're here on a charge of interfering with judicial proceeding, domestic violence. You are currently being held on three other cases on bond set by the city court magistrate. I'm going to hold you on bond for $2,500 cash is secured and set a hearing for you on March the 12th at 1:30 in front of Judge Millian. If you post a bond, then you are to abide by all conditions of release, including not to drive without a valid license, possess or consume alcohol, commit any acts of domestic violence, possess any firearms or weapons, and you are not to contact the alleged victim, in this case, Christina Perkins, or to visit her residence or place of work. You understand?
I completely understand, Your Honor.
Okay. Then you're all done. You're excused. Good luck.
Thank you. You have a great night.
Thank you.
Good evening, Judge.
Good evening. Who's up first?
I'm sorry. Hi, Neil.
Samin, how are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
We didn't have any victims on. Okay. You need to please have your full name.
Good
evening. You're being seen here on two charges: domestic violence, aggravated harassment, and domestic violence interfering with telephonic emergency calls. Going to be setting your initial your conditions of release. Remind you that you have a right to remain silent and you have a right to counsel. Counsel seated next to you has been appointed to represent you for purposes of this hearing. If you have any questions, please direct them to him before speaking up. Regarding conditions of release, does the state have a position?
Your Honor, the state, noting the amount on the warrant, state, given the fact that he's serving a jail term, there's likely a felony probation hold there, if not on the way, and that he's in custody, 7,500 plus PTS. The victim is his mother.
Okay. All right.
And the allegation.
Is that?
I think we lost. Did we lose the state?
I'm here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. You just.
Ms. Postman, sorry, your internet connection may be bad. We're breaking up. Can you please repeat what you just said?
Absolutely, Your Honor. The state's reviewed everything. Given the fact that the allegations are very troubling, the victim is the defendant's old mother, and he's already on felony probation. The state believes he is a risk, 7,500.
Okay, thank you. For the defense?
Thank you, Judge. So what seems to be happening here is I reviewed his file a little bit. It looks like Mr. Brown has already been placed on probation and as a condition of his probation, he is serving a jail sentence for 60 days. Usually they do that when probation is trying to find them housing. That release date, Your Honor, on the probation with the jail is, I believe it's March the 8th, which is coming up in 3 days. So my understanding is probation will probably pick him up and secure him housing. Usually that's why they give the 60 days. As to the new charges, Judge, we are asking for release to pretrial services. That's because not only will he be on probation supervision till 2027, but if pretrial services is also supervising him, he'll have to answer to 2 separate agencies. And also, Your Honor, Mr. Brown's mother indicated she wants contact, as stated in the pretrial services report. It's further stated that she did not sustain any injuries as a result of Mr. Brown's alleged conduct, and she is welcoming return and contact. So for all those reasons, Judge, we are asking you to consider releasing Mr. Brown to pretrial services so he can be released after 3 days when probation picks back. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to hold him on a $2,500 bond, cash is secured, and if posted, it'll be released to pretrial services. Mr. Brown, you are, if you do post bond and are released, standard conditions will apply, including not to drive without a valid license, consume or possess any alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, and possess no firearms. Noting that the victim did welcome contact and welcome you back, I'm not going to impose a no contact order, but please remember, sir, that you are not to engage in any additional or alleged acts of domestic violence. Set a arraignment for you on March the 12th at 1:30 p.m. in the Superior Court. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Make sure and make your arraignment if you are on release. Otherwise, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Thank you.
And Judge, you appointed the public defender.
Oh, I apologize. I am appointing the public defender to represent you. I have no case for this next gentleman. Paez, do you have that? Paez? P-A-E-Z? There isn't. No. Okay. Too easy. Oh, it's continued. Okay. Good evening, sir. Can I please have your full name?
Joseph Paez.
Okay. Is your middle name Peter? Is your middle name Peter, sir?
Yes, sir.
Paez, you are here tonight for initial appearance on some new charges. Just a reminder, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and may be used against you. The attorney to your left has been appointed to represent you for purposes of this hearing. If you have any questions, please direct them to that attorney before speaking out loud. You are here with charges stemming from the 4th of March involving introducing contraband into correctional facility in possession of a narcotic drug. Does the state have position on conditions of release? I'm sorry, Ms. Poston, we're you either muted or we can't hear you, sir.
State asked for a $5,000 bond. This person is alleged to have brought deadly drugs or attempted to bring drugs into the correctional facility. And the state looks upon that with great concern, because every time somebody overdoses, it's somehow the county attorney and the sheriff's fault. Therefore, the state needs to strictly enforce this law. 5,000.
And for the defense.
So, Your Honor, it looks like Mr. Kayas was already booked into the jail on March the 3rd and held on a $500 bond for drug possession. I suspect, although I don't know for sure, that it is from that arrest that these charges also stem from, because the allegation, I believe, is that jail staff subsequently discovered the alleged narcotics / dangerous drugs. So since he's not been able to pay the $500 bond anyway, we are asking for another $500 bond. Thank you.
Excuse me. Mr. Paez, I'm going to impose a $1,000 cash secured bond. If you were to post that, you will be released to pretrial services. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing for you on March the 17th at 1:30 in the Justice Court. If you do post bond and are released, you are not to possess any alcohol or illegal drugs, committing acts of domestic violence, possess any firearms or weapons. I am appointing the legal defender to represent you. All right. And that should be it. Otherwise, that's all for you, sir. Good luck. You're excused.
Your Honor, I believe the court will now handle misdemeanors. Does the court want me around, or?
No, you can step away, counselor. We'll call you back when we need you for the next set.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, Your Honor.
Good evening. Can I please have your full name?
Lisa K. Drost.
Middle name Kent?
No, just Ken. My father's name.
Okay.
Kenneth Alden Murray.
All right. Yes, Ken. I'm Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance tonight and setting your conditions of release. Have you here on several cases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Approximately 6 warrants issued for your arrest by a justice court judge here at varying times. I'm sorry, all on December 5th of 2022. So it appears that you had several cases that were all consolidated on a single day, failed to appear in a warrant issued for your arrest. What I'm going to do is quash the warrants in all of those cases, release you on your own recognizance, and set hearings. It was actually a single hearing for all of those cases on March the 24th at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Foster here at the Pima County Justice Court. As part of your conditions of release, you're not to drive without a suspended license, possess or consume any alcohol or drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, and possess no firearms. For those cases in which there is an alleged victim, I'm ordering that you have no contact with that victim or return to the incident location or the victim's home or residence. Do you understand that if you don't appear on March the 24th, another warrant could issue for your arrest in all of these cases, and you can end up right back in jail?
Can I borrow a pen from them so I can write this down?
Get paper.
You're going to get paperwork from the folks over there in just a minute, but just need to make sure you understand that if you fail to appear on March 24th at 9 a.m. in the Justice Court, then another
We
warrant
come-
may issue for your arrest.
Do I have to come in before that date? Before March 24th?
No, ma'am.
Do I
You
have
just
to come in?
No, ma'am. You just need to make sure you're here at the Pima County Justice Court in downtown Tucson on March
Uh-huh.
24th at 9 a.m.
24th at 9 a.m.
And if for whatever reason you're unable to attend, you need to contact the court immediately so they can reschedule your hearings. Otherwise, a warrant could issue for your arrest and you could end up right back in jail. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
I should go? You want me to go?
Yes, unless you have any questions, you're excused. Good luck and good evening.
Yeah, I do have questions. When I just got here, the officer brought me here, dropped me off, and I left the house where I was living at. And I lived in that house for a long time. And one time the sheriff showed up over there in my backyard and took me handcuffed to this place. So I'm wondering, where am I going to live at?
Well, ma'am, I'm not sure what your living arrangements are like once you're released. If you have any concerns or questions, there are services provided by organizations that the jail can put you in touch with to secure housing.
So should I dial 911?
No, ma'am, you may just ask the folks at the jail if they can point towards resources that can secure you housing if you need it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am. Have a good evening.
You too. Yes, Mom.
Open. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on. I'll be back. Oh.
Good evening, sir. Can I please have your full name?
Mark Anthony Lopez.
All right, Ms. Lopez, good evening.
Good evening.
Judge D, I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance today. It appears you have, let's see, several cases out of Marana Municipal Court. One second. All right, sir. All right, sir. In the case in Marana, I'm going to release you tonight and set a hearing for you in front of the Marana City Court Magistrate on April the 2nd at noon.
Oh, good. That's a good time. Thank you, sir. Your Honor.
All right. Again, as part of your conditions of release, you're not to drive without a valid license, possess, consume any alcohol or drugs, commit any acts of domestic violence, and or possess any firearms or weapons. Please make sure and make your hearing on the 2nd of April, or another warrant could issue for your arrest, and you can end up right back in jail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. I do have a valid driver's license, so can I drive if I get my car back?
Yes, Judge, you can't drive without an invalid driver's license or no driver's license. But if you have a valid driver's license issued by the Department of Transportation, you're more than welcome to drive if you have a vehicle.
Yes, I just got it back, actually, not too long ago.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Huh?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
What chair? What chair, ma'am? This one?
And you can just tell the jail that
Yes.
you need to see him.
My apologies, I missed that one. All right. Can you please have your full name, sir?
Adán Holguín Padilla.
All right. Ms. Padilla, good evening. Here on, because you have several warrants issued for your arrest out of Pima County Consolidated Justice Court.
I would like to ask you a question.
Well,
I
hang on, sir.
I just
Before you say anything, just remember anything you say can and may be held against you. So just be cognizant of that before you ask any questions. In each of these cases, I'm going to release you tonight and set hearings for you in all three matters on March the 27th at 11 a.m. here at the Pima County Justice Court in downtown Tucson. While on release, you're not to drive without a valid driver's license, consume no alcohol or drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons, and for those cases involving an alleged victim, you are not to have any contact with that victim or visit their place of residence or work. Do you understand that, sir?
yes, sir.
Okay. Otherwise, I don't have anything else for you. You're excused.
He has a city case.
Oh, he does. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hang on, sir. We had another matter for you. Apologies. Oh, here we are. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. You also have a matter out of the Tucson City Court where you were charged with possession of drug paraphernalia and failed to appear.
I went to rehab on that charge. I just haven't presented a diploma. I went to IOP out of the ARC Center. The arresting officer has my diploma and the officer's beans or wherever they have my stuff.
All right, sir. So what I'm going to do in this case is release you and set a pretrial hearing on April the 7th at 9:30 a.m. in front of Judge Maldonado.
Yes, sir.
Same conditions are going to apply to this case as with the Justice Court cases. So please make sure and abide by those, and please make sure to make your appointment, your hearing on the 7th at 9:30 or a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. You're excused. Yeah. I'm sorry, for the jail, can we please bring back Mr.
Lopez?
Lopez? Yes, I apologize. He had some city court cases I failed to deal with. That's.
He's on his way back.
Thank you very much. Who's somebody else filling in instead of Sergio? What's that? You said the same thing with to Judge Sergio.
We're still assigning stuff.
Okay.
Especially the cases for warrants, and
Okay.
somebody else will be dealing with it. But that's how we're still doing.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Lopez.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes, Your Honor.
my apologies, sir. You had cases out of the Tucson City Court that I failed to mention to you or acknowledge.
I do?
Yes, sir, you do. You have several cases, in fact, including charges of assault, domestic violence, disorderly conduct, domestic violence, contributing to delinquency of a minor.
What?
And theft.
You're wrong, Mike Lopez. Your Honor, honestly, Your Honor, I don't steal and I've never contributed anything to the minor.
Well, again, sir, it's not for me to decide what you did or didn't do. It's for the judge assigned and
Is it
for
state?
the state to prove. So in those cases, sir, I'm going to release you in the same way I did with the Miranda Court case, and I'm going to set a hearing for you in the city court on April the 1st at 2 p.m. in front of Judge Sergio. You'll get paperwork with the details. As part of the conditions of release, you are not to drive without a valid license, possess or consume any alcohol, commit any acts of domestic violence, possess any firearms, have no contact with the victim, or return to the victim's residence or place of work. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
I think it's a mistake of identity. Honestly, I do.
Oh, well, sir, that's something you can bring up with Judge Sergio on the 1st. Just please make sure and make that appointment with her. Otherwise, a warrant could issue for your arrest.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. You're excused.
Yeah, thank you, Parker. Right back. That's not me. I'm here. So the other one is roll.
Yes.
Good evening. Can I please have your name?
Megan Laura Parker.
All right. Yes, Parker, have you here on a charge of domestic violence, disorderly conduct? I'm sorry, domestic violence, disorderly conduct. All right. Parker, I'm going to release you tonight and set a hearing for you on March the 17th at 10:30 a.m. in front of Judge Foster here at the Justice Court in downtown Tucson. As part of your conditions of release, I'm going to order that you not drive without a valid license, consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms, and have no contact with the alleged victim in this case, or go
May I
to the...
say something? Because that's
Hang
my
on.
partner's.
What? No, hang on. Hang on. So you understand, I'm ordering that you not have any contact with the alleged victim, and that you not go to the victim's place of work or their residence. Otherwise, you're going to be released tonight. Just make sure and make your hearing on the 17th at 10:30, or a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes. May I say something now?
You may. Just understand you do have a right to remain silent, and anything you say may be used against you.
I just want to say that can I ask that you not do the no contact? This is my partner. This is our first instance of this, and I've got the paperwork from the lady at mental health right now for counseling and things like that. But he lives at my residence, he's at my residence, and so if you're saying that, I can't go home. I don't want to get kept. I'm just saying, how can I deal with that? Can I call This is our first incident of this, and all I did was block the door to try to keep him from coming. And so.
Thank you. Oh, no, hang on. Please ever sit down again?
Okay.
All right.
I did. The cop told me to leave. I'm apologizing.
No, that's okay. So, just based on what you said, if you cohabitate or live with the alleged victim, I will allow you to go back to the residence to retrieve any personal belongings. However, you must have a police escort before you do so. So if you intend on going back to the residence to retrieve any belongings, you have to call the police first, arrange for them to be present with you when you retrieve your belongings. And if you need assistance with securing housing, the jail may be able to provide you with some resources.
I own the property that he's on, though. That's what I'm saying. Like it's physically property.
For now, I don't have any information about the alleged victim's desire to have contact with you or to allow you back in the home. So for now, you're going to have to find alternate housing until your hearing on the 17th, when you can raise the issue with the judge and there may be a modification to your conditions. But again, please make sure and make your appointment on the 17th at 10:30 a.m. or another warrant may issue for your arrest.
Can I get a paper with that written on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that all? I just.
Yeah, thank you. You're excused. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Good dia. Not the dia. Rodriguez. Okay. No, but I'm scared.
Yes, downstairs.
You, sir, again, your full name?
Carlos Guzman Rodriguez Jr.
That's okay. All right, good evening, Mr. Rodriguez. I'm Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance. Being seen tonight on 2 charges of domestic violence, assault, domestic violence, disorderly conduct stemming out of the city of South Tucson. I'm going to be releasing you tonight on your own recognizance and setting a hearing for you in front of the city court magistrate in South Tucson on March the 18th at 10 a.m. As part of your conditions of release, you're not to drive without a valid license, consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, commit any acts of domestic violence, or possess any firearms or weapons. Due to the alleged victim wishing to have contact with you and welcome you home, I'm not going to impose any restrictions on your ability to contact the victim. However, make sure that you are being cognizant of these conditions of release and abiding by them, or you may be arrested again. You understand this, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Again, make sure to make your hearing on the 18th at 10 a.m. in city court, or another warrant may issue for your arrest.
Okay. Okay.
And that's it. You're excused. Have a nice night.
Thank you. You too.
Once they'll send it over with all the. Good evening, Your Honor.
Good evening, sir. Can I please have your full name?
Yes, it's Caden Gabriel Valenzuela Mahuta.
All right. All right. So we have a couple of things here for you. The first is a warrant, a case issued for you driving on a criminally suspended license occurring on the 5th of March, approximately noon. I'm going to release you in this matter. Set a hearing for you on March the 17th at 8:30 a.m. for an arraignment with Judge Foster here in the Pima County Justice Court. As conditions of your release, you're not to drive without a valid license, consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, commit any acts of domestic violence, or possess any firearms or weapons. All right, sir, and I also have a city court case for you. One second. DUI. Yes, sir. Your city court case involved charges of DUI, reckless driving, and racing, and a civil fine failing to yield to a private road. This charge stems from June of 2021. So in this case, I'm going to release you and set a hearing for you on April 7th at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Hale at the Tucson City Court. So you're going to be released on this case as well. Please make sure and make this hearing as well as your other, otherwise a warrant could issue for your arrest and you get ended right back in jail. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sorry to check this video review. This is an old form.
Yeah.
So the five-minute.
For adjudicated warrants, as the case with adjudicated. So did you say that you're going to hold them?
No.
Release?
I said I was going to release him.
So
Part of
the bottom where it says if we after that write in a court date and so
okay.
Yeah. So if or whatever with Judge so and so. And that's it.
Thank you. Good evening. Can I please have you pulled?
Kiana Ray Peralta Encinas.
Ms. Encinas, good evening. Judge Padilla, I'm conducting your initial appearance. You're here on charges of domestic violence assault, domestic violence disorderly conduct stemming out of the city of South Tucson. It occurred on March 5th at 3:23 in the morning. I'm going to release you in this matter and set a hearing for you, a criminal arraignment in front of the city of South Tucson court magistrate on March 25th at 10 a.m. As part of your conditions of release, you're not to drive without a valid license, possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, and possess no firearms or weapons. The alleged victim in this case did inform pretrial services that they do wish to have contact with you. So I'm not going to order a no contact between you and the alleged victim. However, Please keep in mind that any additional offenses could result in a separate criminal charge and could land you right back in jail. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. With that, you are free to go. You will be released later tonight. Just make sure and make your hearing on the 25th at 10 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, my apologies. Let me. For Mr. Mendiola, does the defense wish to waive reading of the charges in this matter?
Yes, please, Judge. I was just about to ask. Thank you.
Rob. Good evening. Can I please have your full name?
Daniel Frank Mendiola.
Good evening, Mr. Mendiola. I'm Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance. You have charges in this case. The attorney to your left has been appointed to represent you. For the purpose of this hearing is asked that I waive reading of those. So we're not going to discuss the nature of them. Just to remind you, sir, you do have a right to remain silent. So if you have any questions or concerns, please address them to the attorney appointed to represent you before saying anything out loud. Does the state have a recommendation as to conditions of release?
75,000 plus pretrial services, Your Honor. The defendant is facing almost 9 years on this charge alone. And I've spoken to the investigator, and there are likely more charges coming. This defendant has admitted to providing the demand for an industry that does nothing but cause misery, suffering, and oftentimes death to the most innocent persons in our world. There is evidence that has been obtained by the police that is alluded to in the IC that this defendant has taken affirmative steps towards contracting for that which we will not discuss. This person, short of being put in a Faraday cage at their own home, has absolutely nothing stopping him from continuing this insidious act of his. Okay. He is a flight risk. He is a risk to the community.
Thank you, sir. For the defense, any
Thank you, Your
recommendations?
Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. So looking at the statutory factors and the risk assessment category he's placed in by pretrial is level 1. Your Honor, Mr. Mendiola does not have criminal history of any kind, it appears, not even misdemeanors. It follows that he does not have any failures to appear. Your Honor, pretrial services was able to contact his caregiver, who has confirmed that the protected class of victims, there are no minors present in the residence. Moreover, he does seem to have some ties to the community. He's lived in Tucson for 7 months. And Judge, given a complete lack of felony or misdemeanor criminal history, we are asking you to consider releasing him to pretrial services with any conditions in addition to that that'll ensure the safety of the community. Thank you.
Your Honor, the state would note that 7 months hardly constitutes strong ties to the community. He's been here less than a year, and here we are.
Thank you. I'm gonna hold the defendant on $50,000 cash secured bond in order that if bond is posted that he is released to pretrial services. If he is released, Mr. Mendiola, you are not to drive without a valid license, consume any alcohol, illegal drugs, commit any acts of domestic violence, or possess any weapons or firearms. You are also not to contact the alleged victim or victims in this case, or to go to their residence or place of work. I'm appointing the public defender to represent you in this case, and setting it for a preliminary hearing on March the 17th at 1:30 in the afternoon here at the Justice Court. So, sir, if
Your Honor,
sorry,
the state would move for an order from the court prohibiting the defendant from having any use of any internet connected devices.
okay. As a condition of release, defense have a position on the state's request.
That is fine, Judge, but if he's unable to postpone, I think it follows that the exception is the jail's tablet. I don't know, it has limited access to the internet of some sort. I'm guessing that would be an exception.
Okay. I'll order as a condition of, well, as a condition of release that the defendant is not to possess any device with internet connectivity, and otherwise set this for hearing on the 17th at 1:30. So, sir, if you are able to post bond, please ensure that you're making contact with the public defender's office and that you're abiding by these conditions of release. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. That's it, sir. You're excused.
Judge, the bond amount was $20,000 cash or secured.
Sorry, $50,000 cash is secured, sir.
Okay. So, Your Honor, and we asked the court to waive reading on the next one.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Good evening. Can I please have your full name?
Rodriguez.
Okay. Sir Tegas, good evening. My name is Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance tonight. The first matter we have for you is an income complaint with several charges. Remind you, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you. The attorney sitting to your left has been appointed to represent you for purposes of this hearing. If you have any questions or concerns, please address them to the attorney before speaking out loud. I am not going to read the charges upon request of your attorney. Does the county attorney's office have a recommendation as to conditions of release for the defendant?
25,000, Your Honor. She's a 6 out of 6. She's a yes on the NVCA, as well as she has an absolutely epic history of failure to appear, as well as a violent history, including the particular charge we are not speaking of.
Okay. Defense?
Your Honor, considering that she's 6 on 6 on the scale, we understand we would be asking for release, but we understand if you're not inclined, we just ask the court to consider a $2,000 bond. And if you're going to hold around the city court warrants, Judge, we just ask that you appoint the city public defender's office and set a nominal bond so she can earn some time. Thank you, Judge.
All right, I'm going to hold the defendant on a $10,000 bond and set a preliminary hearing, in this case, on March the 17th at 1:30 here at the Pima County Justice Court. As conditions of release, defendant is not to drive without a valid license, possess, consume any alcohol or drugs, commit any acts of domestic violence, or possess any firearms or weapons. I'm appointing the county, Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. Oh, and I'm sorry, as part of the bond, if a bond cash or secured is posted, the defendant will be released to pretrial services. All right. So regarding the city court cases, ma'am, I have you here with several cases involving theft, shoplifting, possession of drug paraphernalia, criminal trespass, and this. I'm going to set your case for a hearing in this matter. For April 18th at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Cranshaw. I will also be appointing the city public defender to represent you in that case. As part of your release conditions, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to release you on these charges. As part of your conditions of release in this case, if you do end up posting the bond in the felony case, you are not to drive without a valid license, possess, consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, commit any acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons, or contact any alleged victims in the case or return to the incident locations. So your hearings are set for March 17th at 1:30 in the afternoon at the Justice Court, and for April 18th at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Cranshaw here. Please make sure and make your hearings, otherwise a warrant could issue for your arrest. Anything else? Okay, ma'am, you're excused. Double check me on this one. Yes, yeah, released her on this one, but she's being held in the felony. So someone to leave again. There's one going to be the one that date here, which is an ETR. Okay. On the transport, and you know what Biddy K is taking, so we just across.
So you can say here, a phone number.
First, yes.
Good evening. I please have your full name.
Wendy Martinez.
Ms. Martinez, good evening. I am Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance tonight. Have you here on several matters. The first is New charges involving theft of means of transportation, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of narcotic drugs, misconduct involving a weapon, failure to identify yourself to law enforcement, DUI, and does the state have a recommendation as to conditions of release?
Your Honor, the state recommends 25,000, notwithstanding the probation violation, because it is possible she could be continued on it and eventually released. What we're looking at here is prohibited possessor with a weapon as well as theft and a DUI. She was found on a drug nod in her vehicle. State believes she is a threat to the community. 25,000.
Thank you. And for the defense?
Your Honor, given the probation hold and given that it's for forgery, which is a class felony, and we're asking the court to consider 5,000.
All right. Noting the probation hold, I'm going to order a $7,500 bond so that the defendant can receive time credit. It'll be cash secured, and if posted, the defendant will be released to pretrial services. Standard conditions of release will apply. And I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent her and set the matter for a hearing in the Justice Court on 17 March at 1:30. All right. I also have for you, Ms. Martinez, 2 separate warrants issued for your arrest in the Pima County Justice Court. One is stemming from December 27th, 2024, and the second issued on February 27th of this year, both by Judge Cornejo. I'm going to quash the warrants in those cases, release you on your own recognizance, and that's a list for I will release you on these cases and appoint Peter Gutierrez to represent you in both matters. And both will be set for hearings on March the 17th at 8:30 in the morning. Please make sure and attend those hearings, otherwise a warrant may be issued for your arrest. All right. Anything else?
I believe not, Judge.
Okay. All right, then, Ms. Martinez, you're excused.
You said
Good evening. Can I please have your name?
Wayne Roger Moyer.
All right. Mr. Moyer, good evening. I'm Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance. You're here on charges of possession of a dangerous drug and possession of drug paraphernalia stemming from today. Just to remind you, sir, you have the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. The attorney to your left has been appointed to represent you for purposes of this hearing. So if you have any questions or concerns, please address them to that attorney before speaking out loud. Does the state have a recommendation as to conditions of release for Mr. Moyer?
Your Honor, the state submits on the written record.
Okay. What's the defense position?
Your Honor, given that Mr. Moyer is already being held on a probation hold, stemming from a probation violation warrant, and given that this is a low-level, simple possession offense, we ask you to consider setting a $500 bond. I believe the state is not offering a steps hearing. Then we just ask for a preliminary hearing in 10 days. Thank you.
On that matter, in the last matter, the pretrial services notes that the defendant is eligible for steps diversion screening. Does the state have any input on that?
No, Judge.
All right, okay. And all right, then I'm going to set a $1,000 bond cash secured for the defendant and set a hearing on March the 17th at 1:30 in the afternoon here at the Pima County Justice Court. Standard conditions of release will apply, and I'm appointing the legal defender's office to represent Mr. Moyer. Anything further for Mr. Moyer?
No, sir.
No, Judge.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Thank you. You're excused.
Thank you, sir.
Patience.
All right. Can I please have your full name?
Stephen Tony Napier.
All right, Mr. Napier, good evening. I'm Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance tonight. Have you here on a warrant out of, 1 second. Oh, sorry. Charges out of the Superior Court involving possession of drugs, dangerous drugs, and possession of drug paraphernalia. State's position.
Your Honor, the state recommends a $5,000 bond plus pretrial services. He was caught with upwards of 10 grams of meth. I'm at a law. This isn't possession intent. He also has a lengthy criminal record, including violent crimes.
What?
All right, and for the defense.
Your Honor, can I have a brief moment, please?
You may.
Thank you. So, Judge, given that this is a warrant out of Superior Court, I don't have, I'm sure, I don't know if the court does, but I don't have an interim complaint. What we have is just the warrant, and that's for Class 6 simple possession of dangerous drugs along with paraphernalia. That lists, I believe that the warrant is listing a $5,000 bond, but the court should note that Mr. Napier has had no history since 2003. He's a long-term resident of Tucson, and given that this is a simple possession offense and he's only level 2 on the risk assessment scale, we are asking you to consider releasing him to pretrial services. I believe there was also the case was dismissed, and then it looks like it was refiled, and then the Superior Court mailed him summons, and he didn't get them. So we are asking for one more chance on pretrial services so he can go to Superior Court on his own. Thank you.
All right, well, I have on the warrant and as part of the pretrial write-up a warrant issued on the 27th of December of last year by Judge Metzger in the amount of $500. So I'm going to honor that bond at $500 cash secured and order if the defendant is able to post a bond that he be released to pretrial services. Standard conditions of release will apply, and the public defender's office is going to be appointed to represent him. I'm setting this for an arraignment on the 12th of March at 1:30 in the afternoon. All right, sir. So you're going to be held on a bond. If you post that, please make sure and keep in contact with your attorneys and to show up at your hearing on the 12th. Otherwise, another warrant could issue for your arrest.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right, you're excused. Good luck. All right. Can you please have your full name?
Steve Salamone, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Salamone, I'm Judge Biddy. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance tonight. Have you here on a warrant out of the Superior Court issued by Judge Hampson. State's position on conditions of release.
State submits on the written record, Your Honor.
Okay. Defense?
Your Honor, given that this is a simple possession offense, we are asking you to consider releasing Mr. Solomon to the supervision of pretrial services. It's a non-violent offense. There is no allegation that any dangerous weapon or deadly instrument was used. Although the warrant was issued in 2023, Judge, it appears Mr. Solomon did not receive the mail. He was not aware of the warrant or the court date. Again, Judge, it's a class 6 felony, simple possession. We are asking you to consider release to pretrial services supervision. He assures the court he will make it to Superior Court, and we are asking for a case. Thank you.
I'm looking here. Here's that the file indicates that there was a notice of supervenient indictment mailed on July the 6th, 2023, that the defendant failed to appear on July 13th, 2023, and the hearing was continued. Last contact from pretrial services was May 15th, 2023. All right. So given the nature of the charges and the relative lack of criminal history here, and the fact that there may have been some mix-up in terms of the mail, I will release you to pretrial services and set the excuse me, matter for an arraignment on March 12th at 1:30 in the afternoon. And I will appoint the public defender to represent you. So you're going to be released to pretrial services. Please make sure and keep in contact with them during the few days between your arraignment. Please make sure and contact your attorney, and obviously show up for your hearing on the 12th, or another warrant will issue for your arrest, and you may not be released on that. You understand, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. You're excused.
Abstention perfect. I think we can handle it.
All right. Good evening. Can I please have your full name?
Hi, good evening. Edgar Sazueta Torres.
Good evening, Mr. Torres. I'm Judge Padilla. I'm going to be conducting your initial appearance tonight. Remind you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you, and you have a right to an attorney. The gentleman sitting to your left has been appointed to represent you for purposes of this hearing. So if you have any questions or concerns, please address them to the attorney first before saying anything out loud. I have you here tonight with a charge stemming from the 3rd of February involving the unlawful practice of medicine, the practice of medicine by an unlicensed person. This is an interim complaint from the Arizona Attorney General's office. Does the state have any recommendation as to conditions of release?
Your Honor, before I say anything, I'd like to ask if the AZAG is on this call. Otherwise, I will go ahead.
Oh, my apologies. Yes, they're represented from the Attorney General's office. All right. Hearing none, I guess you're in the hot seat, Mr. Postman.
That's fine. Your Honor, this defendant was pursuant to investigation. This defendant was arrested for was the subject of an investigation for allegedly performing medical procedures without licensure, as well as having improper possession of prescription medicines. They discovered dozens during a search pursuant to warrant. They discovered dozens of very unusual medications commonly used in surgical procedures, 2 kits of medical equipment, including blood tubes, surgical sponges, surgical clamps, syringes, scalpels, flush packages, a hair removal device, and a blood centrifuge. There was a ledger discovered showing patients from Scottsdale. This person initially claimed to be a doctor in Mexico, but not in the United States. He's not licensed, and he admitted to going to clients' homes and injecting Botox, fillers, conducting eye lifts, procedures, things like that. Your Honor, I will proffer to the court the fact that Botox is incredibly dangerous if used by somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. It's botulism toxin. It's used in the most microscopic of quantities for surgical procedures, and this man is allegedly not a doctor. Furthermore, he has ties to Mexico, travels there regularly, and these medical procedures are incredibly dangerous to likely absolutely unwitting and innocent victims. At the time I filled out, the state filled out the recommendation, pretrial didn't have anything about citizenship or residency, but the interim complaint states that he has strong ties to Mexico. So the state believes he is a huge flight risk. And finally, this sort of unlicensed medical treatment and his possession of drugs, including morphine, is a patient death, is death waiting to happen. $25,000. And the state would ask if the court has ascertained if he is in the United States legally.
I have not. Is any recommendation from the defense?
Your Honor, I checked with the jail staff and they are reporting to me that there is no immigration detainer at this time. We don't have more information than that, but typically immigration detainers come in quickly, and if those are lodged, then the jail usually honors those. Your Honor, the court should note that Mr. Torres is 1 on 6 on both the scales. This is a class 5 felony, and even after a trial loss, I believe Mr. Torres is probation available, although probation is not mandated. Moreover, Your Honor, he doesn't seem to have any misdemeanor history. Given that this interim complaint has just 1 count of a class 5 felony, and we are not seeing any other counts of either endangerment or aggravated assault, or I don't know if detectives have interviewed any known patients/victims. And based on the class of the felony, Judge, we are asking you to consider releasing Mr. Torres to pretrial services supervision, and list any other conditions asking him to refrain from engaging in any medical activities. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
this came from the AZAG. They typically have all their ducks in a row before they even come in on something like this. The state can state from memory that a chiropractor several years ago was sentenced to several years in prison for something just like this. And what we're seeing here is, yes, there's no death. I would add the asterisk, yes, yet. This person is not a physician. This person is butchering people and is apparently has very strong ties to Mexico. And the moment this person is released, and I don't think there's any moral restraint in the form of orders telling him not to do what he has been doing, is going to make any difference. And once he's in Mexico, it's going to be a Herculean effort to try to get him back.
All right. I'm sorry. And just since you had a follow-up, anything further defense? Any additional comment?
So, Judge, I don't know if the AZAG has forwarded more information. I didn't quite catch that. In addition to the interim?
What I said, Samin, was the AZAG typically doesn't move forward until they've gotten all of their facts in a row.
Sure. Judge, yeah, we would just submit that. Can I have one moment to talk to him, Judge?
You may.
Thank you. So, Your Honor, we just want the court to know that Mr. Torres is residing in Tucson. He's lawfully present in the United States, and he does have a residence locally. So for those reasons, Judge, and given that this is a Class 5 felony, we ask you to release him to the supervision of pretrial services. Thank you.
I'm going to post $5,000 bond, cash secured, and if posted, the defendant will be released to the supervision of pretrial services. Standard conditions of release will apply. Additionally, the defendant is ordered not to travel outside of Pima County without prior permission from the court. Note this, given that the defendant lacks significant ties to the community and couldn't provide a reference. I will set this matter for a preliminary hearing on March 17th at 1:30 in the afternoon here in the Justice Court, and appoint the public defender to represent him. So, Mr. Torres, if you are able to post the bond, you will be ordered to contact and remain in contact with pretrial services. Make sure you're making contact with your appointed counsel, and more importantly, that you are attending your hearing on March 17th at 1:30. Otherwise, a warrant could issue for your arrest. And also, please keep in mind that you are not to travel outside of Pima County without prior permission from the judge. If you have a question, sir, you can direct it to your attorney.
So, Your Honor, there is one request. We do know that he understands the standard condition that he cannot leave the state of Arizona, but the court just ordered him not to leave Pima County. He is just wondering if the court could impose the standard condition, which is do not leave the state of Arizona, because I believe he has family in the counties.
State opposes.
Well, so since there's no reference to or mention of any references to other ties to the community, I'm not inclined to grant the request. Again, given the lack of ties to the community and the potential flight risk, I'm going to keep the condition imposed. Sir, you're not allowed to leave the county without prior permission from the court. You can raise any concerns at your preliminary hearing or with your attorneys, and they can make a request to the court to modify those conditions. Anything else?
No, Judge.
All right, thank you. You're excused. Don't see anybody else waiting. Does the jail have anybody else waiting to be seen?
That looks like it's all, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else from the state?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Anything from defense?
I don't believe so, Judge. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you both. You're excused. Have a nice night.
Thank you. Bye, Neil.